Hello everyone, it's Compwiz here. I'm going to be streaming the recent work I've been putting into Mystcraft. A few moments of setup and making sure everything worked out here, right? Yeah, okay. It's been a while, so I'm making sure that all the gears aren't welded together, as it were. So then, actually, the last thingamabobs were set up to make sure that information went to the right places. And while I'm doing that, I'll go ahead and start explaining some of what I'll be doing. I am sitting in TeamSpeak. I've actually commandeered Jaded's room. She offered to let me use her room for streaming. So I'm sitting there. If some of the usual people that join me on streams decide to come by, I'll be available there. My browser stuff is currently locked up. Oops. Hello, chat. So let's see here. We're getting some people are showing up. Uh-oh. People were complaining they were watching Direwolf 20, and now they have to come watch me, apparently. So, let's see here. How is this? Alright. Let's try this once more. If I can just get this configured right, then I'll be ready to start actually streaming. Alright. Okay, worked that time. Okay, so I've got my little chat window up here, I've got everything set up, and now you can see. Okay, so not much to see at the very moment, you just kind of see my Java Eclipse environment. This is obviously the work environment I have for Mystcraft. I currently have everything updated to Forge 360, which means Minecraft 1.4.4, or the pre-release thereof. I intend to be releasing a 1.4.4 update fairly soon, hopefully either today or tomorrow. But in the meantime, the things I'm working on here won't show up in that release, so or at least not everything will. Some things will. Alright, let's see if I can do this real quick. Where am I? There I am. Hello, Veo. Veo has joined us now.
Hola.
Okay, so now it won't just be me rambling.
Yep, this time I'll make sure to shut off the stream first thing, because that is very disorienting.
A few people are commenting in chat that Jaded wanted to kill me. She apparently announced publicly on her channel that, or stream the other day, that she was going to kill me for removing Eternal Day. And
why? The Eternal Day is not being removed.
Well, it is. The symbol's gone. And hang on. The main complaint, obviously, is that Eternal Day is going away, and she's really upset about that. She likes Eternal Day. I have actually removed those time symbols. The time symbols are gone. All of them.
Time to demonstrate why?
Time to demonstrate
how much better why? How much better it is?
It is now significantly better. You can do lots more than you could with the time symbols, which were misleadingly named anyway, because they only controlled how fast the sun and moon moved across the sky. Okay, so I've got a demonstration world I've set up, and you can see there's a moon, there's the sun, and they're cycling. So, not really anything surprising there. Ooh, I'm flying. Okay, don't need to be doing that. Let's go here. There's the sun, but it's off angle. There's a moon. It's fixed in the sky. And there's a moon pretty booking it. Someone just popped up in chat asking, hello, what's new? The sky is new. I have constructed a system that allows you to write in suns, moons, specify where they are in the sky, how they move, if they move. Yes, the sky is what Veo has been teasing everybody about.
And it is awesome.
And it is awesome. So there's a moon that just cycles very quickly. It's actually managed to make at least one full loop in the time it took the sun to move from there to there. At some point, this will get tonight, but in the interest of the stream, I will make it go a little faster. Okay. And now there's the stars.
And so even though you have control of all these celestial bodies, even though they're moving slowly or quickly or whatever, and they're all moving at weird angles, as soon as the brightest object goes down below the horizon, suddenly everything gets darker.
Yes, the lighting of the world is based off of the highest solar object. Okay, so here comes the moon. There's a moon. And they lost the sun because I spun around too fast.
It was just
There
to
it
the
is.
right
It's
of
just set off the
stationary.
horizon. Light is currently only tied to moon, or to suns, sorry. But at some point I intend to make it so that moons provide some amount of light, even if there is no sun, even though that doesn't make any sense. Just because that's
True,
simple
it might
that
not
way.
make sense, but players will definitely expect that.
Yes. Can you control the size of the suns and moons, like make them huge or tiny in the sky? Not yet. But you can control the angle, the length of their cycle, and where they start from, so the basic phase offset. Does it lag the world? I'm not experiencing any.
I made a world. It was jungle hills checkerboarded with jungle, and then I skylands that and made it a blue-green sky. I threw a sun in the northwest, halfway between rising and set it there permanently, and then I added in 10 moons with no specification, so they were just completely random, and I have not had any lag.
Basically, it doesn't really create any lag. There's not really any reason for it to do so. Okay, so that was 4. Let's see here. Let's go to 3 next. Alright, we just watched the sunset over there.
Whoa! That's booking it for a random... Oh, wow!
Multiple suns. That was fun. That was good timing. Okay,
That
so
was very good timing.
There's one sun going around. That's quite a fast sun. That should be about the same as... Actually, no, that's faster than fast time was. And then there's a sun rising.
That's far faster.
And then there's a sun rising. This world will never be dark. It is effectively eternal day.
But it's even cooler than it was
before. But it's
before.
even cooler than eternal day.
Ooh, they're about to cross.
Solar eclipse with the sun. No, they missed. Sun's all over the place.
Overlap.
Alright.
The mind is asking, when you leave a world, does the time stop? And if you put a world anchor in there, what happens?
If you leave a world and all the chunks unload, then time does stop, I think.
Yeah, I left that to you because I'm not sure how your time system works compared to the normal time system.
But if chunks are loaded, then time does not stop. So your suns and moons will continue cycling. This is a void world. First thing to notice, you can see the sky below you. Second thing to notice, there are no suns or moons in this world. But there are 3 layers of stars. I don't know how clearly you can see the stars out there.
It's subtle, but you can see the stars moving.
There are 3 layers of stars. Some of the stars move one direction, some of them move another, or basically each layer of stars moves in a different direction.
Tim, that is likely to not happen. I'm sorry, that's not really something Industrial Craft planned for, and they would likely have to work with this system in order to support that.
The question Tim asked was, if you have multiple suns, will it increase the EU in that a solar panel produces? And that's not likely. But if you have multiple suns, the highest one will control how much EU the solar panels produce. I particularly think this age is beautiful. I love the way this looks.
I'd say the only thing here is those clouds that you're looking at.
Yeah,
If we
the
could get rid of
clouds, it'd be
those.
nice if the clouds would go away. Probably do something about that.
The Tech Whiz #1, there will be a port to 1.4.4 soon. This will not be included. This is requiring some changes to writing, and those will need to be tested and applied to the whole writing system, and this will be a while. But it's so cool, had to show you guys.
Alright, so let's go back to the overworld real quick. Oh! Bug fix I should show off. No twitching!
No more twitching on Interlink. That is quite nice.
Oh yeah.
Viral 2141. If you look at just the symbol names, yes, Eternal Day is being removed. If you look at what you're doing, you still have Eternal Day, but there are so many more options to do it. It's incredible. It's awesome.
A few things that I have here will be in the upcoming port update. The fix for interlinking will be in the update. The Mystcraft creative tab will also be in the update. And now let's write one of these ages. This system is a little awkward at the moment. Writing is getting a rewrite, but the moment I have the writing you're used to in you, so we'll use that. So
let's take a request on where to put the suns and moons.
all right, where do we want to put the suns and moons?
I'll just pick one person who gives a suggestion in chat. And the answers are in the sky.
That was a good answer.
Sun in northwest.
Okay, so let's see here. North? Okay, it's alphabetical, I can do this. West? Does it move?
There's a request for 2 slow suns and 3 fast moons,
Fixed
so
sun at the
let's make them
horizon.
move slowly.
So let's make this one northwest fixed on the horizon. So I can do
Okay.
that. 0 means it doesn't move. And rising. So it will be in the northwest horizon. Add now celestial bodies, normal sun. Alright. No, it's still not possible to remove symbols. Alright, somebody else has wanted 2 slow suns and 3 fast moons.
Adios, Exotria. Exotria. My apologies if I'm butchering that.
Let's go ahead and add in some fast moons. And I have a question. Should this be a void world, so you can see the suns and moons in it? Or should it be standard terrain?
Couple. Yep. Yeah, I think that's clear.
That was pretty clear. Alright, so we wanted some fast moons. So the way that's accomplished, I really should give some background on what these things do. This is the World Modifier tab. At the moment, it's also the home of the modifiers. I've created modifier symbols. What those do is they create a value somewhere and then they manipulate that value. And they all average together in terms of what they do. There's 3 different sets of modifiers at the moment. There is north, south, east, and west. Those average together to produce different angles. Whereas north is 0, east is 90, south is 180, west is 270. And you can average any of them together to produce completely fine-grained angles. You can produce any angle you like by averaging these. Similarly, there is rising, noon, setting, and end. Those are basically the same thing, whereas rising is actually 0.25, noon is 0.5, or no, noon is 0.5, setting is 0.75, and end is 0 or 1. So they cycle as well, and they average as well. And then the third set is 0, half, presently called unit interval, or 1, and then double, which is up here somewhere, double. And those all average as well. 0 is 0. And if you take 0 and half, you get, or 0 is 0, half is 0.5, unit is 1, double is 2. And they average together to do in the same way, with the same rolling average system as the colors do. So in order to get something fast, we go half, 0, 0, 0. This is now quite
And
small.
just like colors, it will balance out the first 2, and then the result of that with the next, and the result of that with the next, and so forth.
Right. So we'll get, with this, 0.25, and then averaging 0.25 with 0, we'll get 0.125. And averaging that with 0, you get 0.0. At this point, it gets a little harder. 0.675, I think. And while that seems intuitively like it might be slow, these aren't speed. That's the important thing to realize. These are length. So what I'm altering here is actually the length of the cycle, not the speed through the cycle. So that means it will actually have a very short cycle and thus cycle very quickly. To actually make this point very clear, we'll have these moons do this. Boom. And we'll make another one.
Sound logic, the sun that is in this age is set to 0, so you'll see exactly what 0 speed does. Though it does exactly what it sounds.
It's actually not 0 speed. That's the important. Again, speed is not the word to use here. It's length. 0 length intervals.
True.
Uh, okay, so perhaps there's a 0. And
Mr. Moho, double, double, double would average 2 and 2 to get 2, and then would average that 2 with another 2 to get 2.
yes, it's averaging, not multiplying. Which means you can produce every number within the range of 0 to 2 precisely, but you can't produce anything larger or smaller.
And some numbers are not easy to get.
No, but technically every number is possible.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so let's see here. Last thing I want to do is have dark stars, so there'll be no stars in this world. Not that you'll be able to see them with the fixed sun anyway. Okay. Let's get myself a stand. Blinking. Falling through. Oh. Alrighty. Sun is fixed on the horizon. Boom. Village. Bones. There shouldn't be stars.
I was about to comment on that.
That's interesting. I wonder if I misclicked or something.
Merc, this is the new
Mystcraft Celestial Mechanics. Villages everywhere!
Aritz, yes, that is planned. There's lots planned, but let's please keep the discussion on the current things being done. Thank you.
Yes, Art's questions are links into crafting, and we're not there yet. I lost where my platform was.
I was not watching, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
It'd be to your left when you're facing the village, according to where you are on my stream.
Actually, closer to the sun. I think I moved away from the sun to get to here. I think.
Worst case, you could always demonstrate that TPX is not shaky anymore.
Nope, that was the wrong age. My particles from the previous link were still there.
Very nice.
Writing order for the modifiers matters in some ways, yes. And they have to come before the thing they modify. Also, any dangling modifiers, so if you write in, if you added in a 0 at the end, and it didn't actually get used in any symbols, then it would be a dangling modifier, and this would produce instability.
There is, however, a clear modifiers that can be used to close the book or to make sure that you have no modifiers when you go to write another part of the age.
Right.
I like to do it whenever I'm changing what kind of logic I'm using, such as making suns, and then I put a clear in, and then I make moons, and then clear, and then make stars.
It's this symbol here. And all it does is erase all existing modifiers. So
the modifiers are added before the symbols, and symbols will use them appropriately when they need to, and will not use them if they don't understand how to.
Howdy, good.
Hi.
Hello, Jaded. How are you?
Hi, I thought I'd pop in and see what's up.
Welcome. Have you been watching the stream?
Yeah, I was about to go watch the stream.
Okay,
Yeah.
you should see what the replacement for Eternal Suns is.
Got
It's
something that'll
Eternal
make
Day.
me happy?
Sorry?
Got something that'll make me happy?
I'm fairly certain, yes.
Be nice. Busy all week, okay. Oh no, wait, this is Soren, not XCOM. Why did it go to Soren? XCOM Wiz, right?
Yes.
Spelled with a W-H?
No H.
Okay, there. New Mystcraft mechanics.
Alright, so... to show Jaded what's going on here, go back to my demonstration world, and we'll show off this one, because this was a good one. There goes the sun, at a funny angle. Here comes... oh, no, there goes two suns. Here comes another one.
Huh?
Yeah.
Multiple suns. At any angle.
You can have suns fixed in the sky. You can have suns at any speed, any angle.
Watch
You can
this.
have moons out while the suns are out. And this is quite impressive when it reaches the horizon here, or when it starts to.
Here comes the sun. Here comes the other sun. And there goes that one. Ah, yes. Somebody wants the music turned down. I always forget to do that. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. I'm really tempted to do the, Who's Bad? From the first line, or the first episode of the newest Doctor.
Yeah, but he learned his lesson rather quickly.
Yes, he did. He's like, I'm never doing that again. So I won't do it either. Alright.
Boba, can you make the suns and moons different colors?
Yes,
XComp, would you like to handle that?
I can indeed. I can make them lots of things. The sun symbol itself, so we'll go back to the overworld here. The sun symbol itself, it's in Celestial Bodies here. It says normal sun. What that controls is the appearance of the sun. It actually also reads in the modifiers and handles how they should be, or reads in the modifiers, takes them as values, and then does different things based on those modifiers.
And removes the modifiers from being used by any other symbols afterward.
Right.
They're valid modifiers for suns.
Somebody's asking if I'll make more tabs in the notebook. No. I'll do something completely different, actually. But
And now for something completely different.
yes. Will there be any possibility of adding other types of celestial bodies? Could we get something that isn't a sun or a moon? Yes. There's actually 4 layers. There's the stars layer, which is the furthest out. There's the doodads layer, which is just inside that, just behind the sun. And then there's the moon's layer, which is between or basically is the closest layer to the sky. So you could have things like asteroids or rings. What else? All sorts of things. I called them,
Nebulae.
yeah, nebula, whatnot. I called them doodads because I couldn't think of another word offhand. Uh, and I was reminded of the StarCraft map editor, the original StarCraft Brood War map editor, where it called all the uh, visual effects, all the little scenic items, doodads. So I'm with that. You could have comets across the sky, actually, yeah. Or planets in the sky. All sorts of things.
Well, when do I get it?
Uh, no idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
this is including some changes to the way writing works.
Yes, this
Well,
is
I
going to
just wanted to
change.
Modifiers
drop
and
in
such.
and see how it worked.
Yep.
Are you taking away the evil corruption?
No. Instability's around.
So,
If you're having trouble with corruption, though, if you're having trouble with instability, you have a lot of options. The potion effects you can get underground. The most of them go away. I believe mining fatigue and blindness are the only two that don't. Um, Other than that, you can change the difficulty if it's too difficult. Well, before you change the difficulty, you could write stable ages. You could also set a custom instability difficulty in the configs. So if you want to play on hard but have the instability from peaceful, that's okay. You can do that. And in the next release, you'll be able to disable individual instabilities, or you can disable them altogether. So I think there are plenty of ways to handle instability.
Right. The actual upcoming update release for 1.44 will actually include configs for instabilities individually. So you can turn off things like nausea.
Yes, that one had a lot of requests.
That one.
Seflington, it has not yet. That is part of the plan. It's
uh,
planned to make the sky, fog, sunset, and cloud colors all modifier-based rather than built into the symbols.
correct. In fact, that is what we will be doing at this point, or after we're done playing with the celestial mechanics. So we're actually going to convert all those red sky, blue sky, black sky, those things into modifiers. So the plan is to do that on stream. So you'll get a first-hand look of how that system actually works. Congrats to the chat for going to the obvious next step. So let's see here. These bother me.
Oh, I
Alrighty.
know the feeling.
Somebody's commented they've actually enjoyed the nausea instability, to which I say that's good. I'm glad some people have. Uh, in that case, then you're not required to disable it. It's just a config setting to allow you to. With this new modifier system, would it?
More Gallifrey requests I see.
Yes, I know. Sound logic, that not quite as you say it, but it is a possibility. So, yeah. And normally I want to read the questions off to the stream, but in this particular case, I'm just going to. Yeah, it's a bit of a spoiler thing for what I'll be doing.
Merc, yes, if you configure it so that there's no instability and you add 20 dense ores, that would be OP, but that's the same as setting it to creative and peaceful and then saying that it's OP because you don't have to fight monsters. People would want to go and play in both scenarios, and the instability is a balance mechanic, just like the mobs are a hostile force for the player to deal with, but disabling them is definitely okay.
All right. So, what should we do? Should we play with more celestial mechanics? People want to make more worlds with different suns, configurations, and whatnot? Or should we go do the color modifiers? What do you say, chat?
If we go and make some more... Oh, it looks like people are wanting color.
Chat says color. Thank
It looks really cool.
you. Alright, sorry. Alright, so we'll do color for both the Americans and the Brits. I see both spellings in there. Alright, so I can spell. There we go. So here's the modifiers that exist. These are all of them. Or at least the ones I've written thus far. North, south, east, west. Rising, noon, setting, end. 0, half, full, double. Oh, hello, Heffron. Heffron's asking if color modifiers will allow for colored celestial bodies, and that is a possibility. One thing to note, and an important thing to realize for these modifiers, is a symbol must actually read the modifier. At the moment, the only things that read modifiers are the sun, moon, and stars, and just normal sun, moon, and stars. Nothing, or not even dark forms, the ones you can't see.
Nice, love.
Did you want to go back up there, did you?
Yeah, can I?
That was brief.
Okay.
So somebody's asking, okay, north, south, east, and west. These basically specify angles. They're tied to basic concepts, as in ancient cultures tend to tie everything with a cycle involved to the sun. So rising, noon, setting, and end are actually points in a cycle, or if you like, phase within a wave. North, south, east, and west, those are angles. So north is 0 or 360, south is 180, east is 90, west is 270. They average together and they produce an angle on the circle based on the average.
Okay, so with north, south, east, and west, I think what you need to do is you need to add plink and fsh and such from Selentic whenever those are clicked.
I need to what?
You remember the Selentic puzzles in the original Myst?
Yeah. Oh, you mean the sound effects? I suppose I could. That would be funny. Alright, so, and then 0, half, full, and double. Those are modifier. Those are length multipliers in the case of the sun intervals. So basically these are length. You can have 0, double, unit, half, and you can average them together, which is what we did earlier.
Go ahead.
Somebody's pointing out that rising, noon, setting, and end, these numbers don't line up with the way the suns actually represent their placement. I shift them in the suns. These numbers are convenient in terms of general concept. The suns do take these numbers and modify them. The modifiers affect the numbers within the system. They don't set them. So, as an example, we'll go to sun normal. And it reads them out. So the way the modifier system works, I'll actually pull up a modifier here. We'll look at east, because it's top of the list here. Okay, so east's value is 90. This is just for convenience sake when I wrote the code. It pops the current modifier. Let's see here, how to explain this. We'll actually do it in reverse. At the end, it sets the modifier angle to value. What this means is it goes and it basically binds this value to this name. If something was already there, it would add instability. Up here at the top, we pop this property. Popping means we remove it and we get the value. There is no other way to read the value of a modifier than to pop it. You have to pop it. Popping means it's no longer there. This is the design of the modifier system. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. What do you think, Veo? Did I manage to explain that well enough?
I was typing a lot.
That's fine. Okay, and then in here, you look at the previous value. If it exists, so it's not null, then it exists, and it's a number, then we basically do a not so complex average operation. We do check to make sure that averaging will produce something within the circle. Somebody just pointed out, or SoundLogic just pointed out, if you have conflicting directions and try to average them, what happens? What you get is the point in between them clockwise. So if you average north then south, you actually get east. If you average east and west, or east then west, you get south. If you average west then east, you get north. So that's the tricky bit. Or that's the least intuitive part of the averaging. So, what this one does here is it averages 90 with the existing value if it's there. If it's not, it just sets the angle to 90. Sun here reads in length, angle, and phase. Those are 0 to double, north, south, east, west, and rising, setting, noon, and end here. So let's see here. It reads them in if they exist. It uses them if they exist, or if it exists and they're a number. So it actually makes sure that it is a number before it tries to use it as one. And then in here, the actual setup, if period is null, then it creates a period. Period is the length of time multiplier here. If angle is null, then it generates an angle. And if offset is null, or the phase, then it generates one of those. It also has this extra thing here. If the period is 0, then it tries to stick it somewhere above you, because otherwise you wouldn't see it in a non-void world. Alright, so if those exist, or once those exist, either way, it says period, converts it to a double, and multiplies it by this, which is the standard length of a Minecraft day. To those that missed the new mechanics and things, I probably will go back and show them off in a little bit. We're going to do colors first. We're looking at how the modifier system works. Okay, so this is the modifier system. Angle, it just reads off the angle. It actually inverts it for the sun and the moon and the stars because it expects it to be inverted. And then for the offset, it shifts it. This is what I meant by making those values appropriate. Okay, now at this point, we're going to look down here at all the different colors. All of these are, okay, we've got red, green, blue, black, white, chromatic. Now that's an interesting one. The obvious method to do modifiers for colors is if you simply take the color and average it like you do for these. it would be quite simple. But chromatic throws a wrench in the works there. It makes that very difficult. Because chromatic changes depending on the time of day. Or actually not even the time of day, it just changes depending on time. How long has the world been ticking along? What is the current time? Because of this, the color system is going to be more complicated than just getting a color value. However, there are two solutions to this. One is to make it so that there is a color provider object that handles this chromatic. The other, which is probably the more flexible and better method, and it's what we're going to be doing, is to have gradients. So instead you'll be able to say red, green, well, that wouldn't work real well. But if you took red and green, so they average together to produce a color modifier value, and then you put in the gradient symbol, it starts building a gradient. And hopefully as I write this, that will make more sense. So, color. Well, somebody's just asked, if you have fast time, wouldn't that be stepping into a raid? One, fast time is gone. Two, fast time never affected time. That's actually the biggest problem with those symbols. They never actually affected the time of the world, just how fast the sun and the moon and whatnot moved. At this point, we have a much better system that gives you a lot more power, a lot more control, and produces far more fantastic worlds. Okay, so...
Held player is requesting chromatic grass, and I understand, Held player, that they're really difficult to take off, but you need to take off Timothy O'Leary's reading glasses. You really do. Just take them off.
Alright, so we'll go ahead and line these all up. They'll, red, green, blue, black, white. And we'll also add gradient, if I can spell it. That's better. Alright, so we're going to have to create these modifiers because obviously they don't exist. In the interest of making this easier and to limit the number of mistakes I can make, I'm going to copy the existing modifiers, or one of the existing modifiers, in order to make this go a little smoother. So modif, I can never spell on streams, it's amazing. Modifier red.
Oh, I can't post links to the chat.
No, you can't. I don't think I can, for that matter. Alrighty. So, the actual operation here is going to be a little different. Change these to color. Color. Value becomes vector 3, because that's what I'm going to be using to store my colors. I'm trying to read the chat at the same time here. Somebody's asking if I'll add a symbol to change how fast time moves. It sounds really dangerous. If I do even try that, it will require tons of testing before I could possibly release it, especially with things that depend on time. And I'd have to be really, really careful how it affected other mods. So yeah.
For now, there is accelerated, which affects some things.
We'll do this way. So
Seflington, accelerated does not work on furnaces. there are a very specific set of things it does work on. It doesn't work on any kind of machine, generally.
Sorry, what doesn't work on a machine?
Accelerated.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't actually affect machines, I'm afraid. Because those are keyed to time itself. Okay, so let's see here. This is going to work like this. And I'll probably generalize this out in a few moments, actually, in terms of how this will work. Color equals... I did kind of sketch out how this is going to work before I did this. So what we're going to do here is pass in the values for here, which for red is 255. Whoa, that's not right. 255, 0, 0. I've got to create this function. Let's see here. Get vector from pool, and we'll change these names as well. Okay, so if the modifier didn't exist before, we just return a new vector. How are we doing, chat? Trying to read at the same time. You go by pretty fast.
Yeah.
Alright, so that handles that case. Now we need to handle the case that color exists. Actually, there's two more cases. If color instance of vec3, and then there's the reverse case, it's not. So if it's not actually an instance of vector 3, we need to do the same thing. We'll do this way. So if it's null, or it's not an instance of vec3, then we just return a new vector. Otherwise, we can now safely say that color is an instance of vec3. So we'll rename all this to object, and then we'll have vec3 color equals vec3 cast object. Now I can play with the object, or the color. Equals so that average is red. There we go. Now we need to return it. Okay. Color. Alrighty, so let's see here. I'm going to check real quick age controller, because this already has some averaging code in it. Fog symbols will continue to average, which means if you go red, green, blue fog, blue, green, red fog, the two fogs will have different colors and they'll average. Why you do that way, I'm not precisely sure, but you can produce some interesting effects that way, actually. Actually, I can think of at least one case where you can do that. Sound is now asking how you would get something like 2552550. You can't. I'm afraid. At least not any way I can think of offhand.
Held is suggesting one modifier class for all of the colors and then a separate class for the gradient.
I will in fact do that way. So we'll change this to modifier color. All resources have been excluded from refactoring. Okay, that probably means I have to save over here. Import it properly. And now try it. Hey! Syntax errors. Are you really what's limiting this? Really? Come color. Why can't I refactor?
Always fun.
So one more parenthesis would help. Yay! Okay. Now we have modifier color. These are currently hard-coded. We'll change that. So we'll actually pass them in as this. This r equals. Whoa, that wasn't right. This dot g equals g. This dot b equals b. And those are, of course, red, green, blue. And actually, I'll make them full names here. Now I need to create them. So private int red. Okay. Having trouble processing both the chat and what I'm doing at the same time, so I'm afraid I'm kind of ignoring the chat. Hopefully Veo can keep to date with anything important.
I am.
Or answer questions, which I think he's also doing. So. Okay, now we need to pass this in 25500. There we go. Now it's red. Now we need to handle these down here. So this is the interesting part of this. We're also going to need to pass these in. Private string name. And we'll just pass it in once. We'll just have one name to handle it all. There we go. Now it's nice and generic. This is red. Red, green, blue, black. Also, blue is currently wrong. There we go, black. And this last one will be white. There. Color modifiers. So let's see here. How are we doing? Will this do what we want it to do? It goes in the World Modifier tab, which is where I'm currently sticking all the modifiers. It will set the color modifier after averaging it, or averaging its own value with any existing one. If it doesn't exist, or the existing value is not a vector 3, it just returns its own color. If the existing value is a vec 3, then we average and we're done.
SoundLogic is requesting either a way to only modify a specific channel or have two-channel colors to allow greater control, which it wouldn't make the tab quite so massive since the number of symbols is being cut down.
This is true. We might play with that, but first I want to go through and
At least
finish.
re-implement the original functionality.
Yeah, I want to go through and finish the original idea, and then we can play with it after that. Because I have a plan, and I want to stick to the plan. Otherwise, I will derail myself on stream, and that's rarely a good thing. Especially since I'm so easy to derail. All right. Okay, so that should be color symbols. They don't currently do anything. They don't tie to anything, but we'll go ahead and go look at them.
We'll see their randomly generated symbols at least.
Okay. I need to make myself a new notebook. Hopefully that's swapped.
Merc, there are already symbols
Light.
for specific instabilities. You have meteors and explosions and charged and soon scorched after the next release.
Yep.
There will likely not be a symbol for every instability.
Nope. Hopefully people won't get confused and think white is a decay. Because there is a white decay, but I don't think anybody would write that in intentionally. If you really want white decay, just make the world really unstable. There you go. So let's see here. We've got black, blue. There's green, red, white.
Requests are to make the window larger for Minecraft.
There we go. Hopefully we can see a little better now. White, black, blue. I like the way blue looks. That's a nice looking symbol.
Yeah, I like that. Sound logic, that's kind of why white will not be writable. He wants to write white decay into other people's worlds once there's rewriting.
Yeah, that's why that's not going to be a symbol.
Max, the way to measure the instability of an age is to observe. Observation is definitely a massive part of Myst, and I don't think it's a bad game mechanic here. I think it's fun to go into an age and try to figure out what's happening.
The symbols generate themselves. Yes, that. I was wondering if people would notice that. Okay, go away. Yes, please. So what happens? Nothing. It just froze. That's okay. Yes, the symbols generate themselves. I've set it up so that if it doesn't provide a visual for it, it just makes one up. And the one it makes up is deterministic, meaning it will always make up exactly the same appearance. I haven't actually set any of the symbols to look a particular way. They're just generated.
That's why it was changed away from the previous system to this system. The previous system required a separate image for each symbol.
Right.
This requires a set of images, and that's it.
And some generation code, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yep.
And it can be made pretty, but I haven't put in the time. Okay, so that's colors. Now let's do... Let's do gradient before we do the changes to fog and whatnot. We were going to actually use these modifiers here shortly. So let's go here.
Merc, the link book modifier is a debug block. It's not meant to have a crafting recipe that makes sense.
Nope.
You'll be able to craft following and intra-age and disarm in-game, And once you can do that, the recipe will be removed. The block might even be removed, though I would vote against that.
Yes, I'll actually probably leave the block in just because it's useful for debug testing and things like that. But
And adventure mappers and
yeah,
things like that.
especially. It's actually got some good utility to it, but it's not supposed to be part of the game itself, so the recipe will go away.
So I suppose the technical answer to the question, will you change crafting for link book modifiers? Yes. Yeah, it'll be removed.
Somebody in chat commented that the second rule of mist burst exploration, keep your books safe.
Yeah. That's the entire plot of the first game.
Oh yeah. And the second, in some ways. And very much the third.
Oh, very much the third, yes.
Which, yeah, the whole first one's about, I didn't keep my book safe enough. And then the third one is, we didn't keep the book safe enough.
This big pedestal in the middle of the room with just a flimsy glass cover?
Wasn't safe enough. Amazing.
At least we had a lock on it.
And the lock was on the book, though.
Yeah, the lock was on the book, and within about an hour of gameplay, it was broken, so...
I don't think he ever actually opened the lock.
Oh, he didn't?
No, I think you actually get the book back with the lock intact.
Oh, that's right, because... Okay, I was thinking he was linking somewhere else.
No, he never actually went to the world the book linked to.
Yeah, I was thinking the egg-shaped cage, I was thinking that housed that book, but it held another. Yeah, that's right.
Held another. You recover the book at the end. That's kind of the point of that game, recovering that book. So let's see here. Gradient. Well, Gradient won't need all this. Go away. Go away. Alright, so what Gradient's going to do, very similar here actually, is Gradient equals this. So it's actually going to play with two modifiers. And this is an example of a complex modifier system, in that you can actually put several modifiers together and then use another symbol to change how those modifiers work together. Basically, you could add red, green, and you'll get a color. And then you could add in the gradient. And what gradient's supposed to do is it pops that color, takes the gradient object, creates one if it doesn't exist, and then pushes the color into the gradient. So let's see here. We'll actually need to average colors in here. If gradient equals null, then gradient, or actually we also need to check or gradient. Maybe we need to make this a not as well. Now we're going to have to create this class now. And it's going to be the workhorse of the gradient functionality here. Okay. Got that all set up. So let's see here. We need to create this class. Finish. Color gradient. That exists. Push color. Oops, that wasn't right. We need to cast color gradients. And now we need to create the method. So if not if it's not a vec3, when we don't know how to work with it right now, we're just going to handle vec3s right now for color. So we'll actually do that. Later on, it may handle other things, but at the moment, it just handles vec3s. So the gradient's actually going to have several things to it. One of them is, for the moment, we're just going to code it in here as a hard-coded thing, but the length will equal, this should actually be a long, it's 20,000. Okay. Moment, I'm just going to do that, but at some point that will be controllable. And then we'll have a set of colors in an order. So the best way to represent that, where is it? List colors equals new array list vec3. We need this, and we need to import those till, there we go. Okay, so colors dot add color. Okay, that went pretty smoothly. Alrighty, so how's chat feeling? Does this make sense to chat, I hope?
Yeah, how are you guys following along? The chat's been wandering around and not focused on exactly what you're doing.
That's fine.
Yep, that's to be expected, especially when you're coding.
Yep. I like this new system too. Previously, I wasn't very keen on using modifiers. The main reason for this was I had difficulty coming up with a system where modifiers would be able to work, especially considering making symbols handle modifiers in an intuitive fashion. This way, basically, I'm just going to say, actually, it doesn't matter. If you specify green and then say, let's pick something that doesn't make sense. Green terrain gen normal. That's not going to change how terrain gen works. However, the modifier will continue being in there. Since terrain gen is not going to pop it, it won't clear the modifiers. Green will continue. It will persist until some symbol does pop color. At which point the green value will be removed and possibly replaced if it was popped by a different color. And again, anything that reaches the end, anything that's not handled at some point, will become instability. And this system should be able to work just fine. Previously, I was concerned about actually creating a syntax grammar. And I was not keen on making already complex writing more complicated. If you had to say red, green, black, fog, and had to actually put together in some kind of way that syntactically worked together, then the writing language would be significantly more complicated, and there's already enough people to have problems with it. So I didn't want to do that. This is a straightforward system and didn't have to change very much, actually. It just took a while to think up. And a bit of creativity to design well. But it works fairly well, and it's actually pretty simple with the designs. Alrighty. Thank you, Siflington. So let's see here. This point, it just handles colors. Actually, cycling through the gradient will be more interesting, but we'll do that in a little bit. So at this point, we've got all the setting stuff done for colors and gradients. And this time I actually planned out how I was going to make this work before I coded it on stream. So I thought it'd be a little more collected this way. Alright, so that's done. We've actually got colors and gradients now. Now, let's go change fog.
I will note one thing I really like is the way that this system, previously with chromatic, you write chromatic in and then you get a slideshow and it's visually impressive, and it took less work than getting a nice color set up. Mm-hmm. And now a nice, good-looking gradient is going to be a mark of someone who actually really understands the system and can write well. And right. I like having systems that are about this player learning to write well rather than just get something cool immediately. That's why I like the new celestial bodies, and that's why I like the new colors, right. Gradients.
And at this point, instability is kind of a punishment for writing badly or writing bad things, as in writing things that are inherently unstable or imbalanced. It's a balancing mechanic. These things, this focus is now more on rewarding people that write well, as opposed to punishing people that write badly. So, it's the flip side. I kept commenting last arc, where I was doing all the instability, that Mystcraft, you shall know fear. This arc, or this particular set of development, the modifiers and the colors and the celestial mechanics and whatnot, is much more Mystcraft, you shall know beauty. Assuming you can do this. Which, at least some people will be able to figure out this system pretty well. Chromatic fog will be going away. In terms of all of these will go away, and I'll just have symbol fog. Chromatic will instead be replaced with having a gradient, and fog will cycle through its gradient. So let's make that work. First, we'll open up fog. Will the gradient be modifiable? Yes. How the gradient works here is you have a color, and you can build your color, and it averages together, so you can actually build red, green, blue, black, and you'll have actually a blue-green, or a dark blue-green at that point. And his question is, will the gradient wavelength, or the length of the gradient, be modifiable? At some point, yes.
Not a bad idea.
At some point, yes, I will do that. But for right now, it's just this, because I wanted to keep this fairly simple to start with. But I was planning on doing that. That's why I set this up like this. I might even, if we feel like being real creative, make this so that each color has a interval. So you can actually make the red last really long, and then it cycle quickly through blue, or something like that. But we'll see how we go.
Yeah, having the gradient modifier accept wavelength modifiers would work quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Save a custom length for each gradient.
Right. I think it would be a really nice system, but for the very moment, we'll do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to create a new symbol called fog, and we're going to base it off of fog normal. So symbol fog. I need to go through and rename all this because it's already, or it's again not consistent because I've changed how my naming system works again. That won't affect anybody. It's just I need to change my class names. The only people it'll affect are people that read my class names. Somebody's asking, what happens to old worlds with chromatic fog? And I'll answer this more generally than that. What happens to worlds with eternal day? It gets remapped to the new celestial system, so the day will still continue being one sun fixed in the sky. What happens to worlds with chromatic fog? I will build basically, I have a system for remapping, and there will be default symbols that replace chromatic fog. So it will build a gradient for you to produce that. At least approximately what chromatic fog did. Which could be tricky, because I don't remember what chromatic fog does. So let's see here. At this point, we'll just make this fog. We'll just make this fog. Fog colorizer. We're actually going to need another fog here because go to something here. Because normal fog does something interesting. It's actually different from the rest of the colorization, which means that's going to be weird. That's going to change a little bit. Yeah, red, green, blue, black, white, chromatic, normal. It's like, what? The same is true of the sky. And basically all that means it produces a particular shade of blue. Or actually it produces a particular shade of white, which looks exactly like the native white. Because it is exactly the native white. But basically it's probably just going to remap to white. I probably won't bother producing a normal fog color. That'd be a little odd. Could an existing world become corrupt through the rebuilding with the new system? No, that should not happen.
Will this be in the FTB release? If you mean the impending one, no. This is a brand new system being coded right now, and so it needs a lot of testing.
Yeah. This is not ready for prime time. There will be a 1.44 update, but it won't have the new celestial mechanics, and it won't have these color modifiers and things in it.
And there will be a symbol to have 0 suns. The dark sun will...
The dark sun does do that. And let's actually go look at what that does real quick so that people know. Okay, so the age controller tries to make it so there is at least one sun. So if sun's size is 0, then it says, hey, we're missing a sun, there needs to be something. It then goes and adds a sun. Or at least a sun. Sets sun count to 1, and then there's 2 1 in 8 chances of increasing that count. So it can randomly add more than 1 sun, up to 3. And then it will go through and for every one add a sun. Same for moons, same for stars, not true of doodads. Yeah, so there has to be at least 1 star field, at least 1 moon, at least 1 sun. Dark sun, dark moon, and dark stars satisfy these conditions. So it won't generate them if they exist. Yeah, chat. So more than one sun is possible in the world. Oh yeah. I think the most I
Yeah,
played
stay
with was
tuned.
6. Stay tuned. We'll go back.
Yeah, they were demonstrated earlier, and they'll likely be demonstrated later. Basically, you can have as many suns and moons and different types of star fields as you'd like. You can control the speeds and positioning and angle where they move all independently, and it's quite nice.
Okay. So now we've just got color. This is nice. But we need
I
to set
plan
it.
to make...
Go ahead.
Okay. I plan to make Pandora from Borderlands. That's what I'd like to write in my games.
I know that myself and Dyer are looking forward to creating Gallifrey.
Yeah, that will be nice as well. But as stated, that needs red grass. So
Yes, it requires red grass, silver leaves, a list of things. Actually, part of this design was I was thinking about how worlds are described in science fiction. And I considered, okay, sometimes it will have a sun that rises in the east, and then another one that rises in the south. All right, how do you specify that? So I finally came up with a modifier system that worked. But I had to think about it in the right context before I could actually come up with it. I think that was part of the thing. So
Seflington, I am an amateur astronomer, and I'm not really too concerned with this system because this is the same system where two sources of water can make infinite water, and a system where sheep regrow their wool when they eat grass.
yeah. Basically, I'm just going, okay, Minecraft is Earth-centric.
Yes, it is.
Actually did this wrong. We're going to make this a color gradient.
Yeah, Shake and Fry. I was actually running the telescope at Chamberlain Observatory for a few months, few weeks. And no, I'm not really too concerned with this. It's, it's Earth-centric is what it is.
We'll handle that in a moment. Alright, so first we want to get the gradient.
I wasn't watching it all. What's the fix me for?
Basically, at the moment, it will always return black.
Ah, okay, got it.
We'll actually get a color out of the gradient here in a moment, but at the very moment, just doing this. So, object gradient. If gradient equals null, or not gradient instance of color gradient, then we need to make gradient equal something.
Other gamers, the new stuff has been shown at the beginning already, and it will likely be shown again. So just stay tuned.
And now we do the same thing as gradient here, actually. Basically, if the gradient doesn't exist, then it tries to use the color. And it builds a gradient based on that color. Just to make this simple, or the system simpler. The problem is, what's it do if there is no color in the gradient? Maybe that won't work. Well, for the very moment, we'll move on and assume there is at least a color or a gradient. This isn't a good assumption, but for the moment we'll operate under it, just to make sure things keep moving. This should belong in sky, yes. Okay, so gradient there, and now gradient dot get color Let's also pass in the age controller. So age controller. Okay. We don't really need to pass in the full controller. We just need to pass in the current point in the gradient we want to be. What that will actually translate to is the time, which will be a long. So create method, get color. All right. This one's more interesting. I wish I'd designed this particular algorithm out before I got to stream. I didn't have enough time. Alrighty, so let's just kind of plan it out. First, we figure out what colors we're between. So get first color, get second color, interpolate. It's pretty much just that. We have case, only one color, and under our assumptions earlier, we actually have a case, no colors. So that should be interesting. What should that default to? Only one color is quite simple. So if colors.size equals 1, return colors get 0. So get the first one. Right. There we go. That's better. Okay. So now we need to figure out what colors we're between. This is the tricky bit. Who's got the algorithm? Alright, so we've passed in our point in the gradient. So time is actually not a bad word for that. We'll go ahead and change the system to handle multiple, or each color have a length. For the moment, I will actually fix that to a value, but time minus equals while time is greater than 200, 2000. Just fun. Time minus equals 2000. Go ahead and specify these are longs, just for tight consistency. And we'll also increase our color counter, which doesn't exist yet. But that's okay, because I can create it here. So int okay. So at the moment, every color lasts 2,000 ticks. And then for every time is greater than 2,000, increases the color counter. This is our first color. This is the color we're interpolating from. The next color is color counter plus 1. If so, let's see here. We need to handle it's greater than colors size, and it will be almost always. After the first few, it's going to get much larger. The simple solution is color counter equals color counter modulo colors.size. And yeah, so now I've got color counter. It's possible we're going to wind up right on the largest color, and then we'll need to cycle back for the second color. But we can handle that. Int second, I want to put a space there, second color equals color counter plus 1. Same operation. Great. Now we have both colors. So vec3 color 1 equals colors dot get color counter. And then color 2 equals second color. To interpolate them, we need to get a float, and that will be based on time. I'm going to create a long interval equals 2000. Just because this number is starting to show up a lot. So float interpolation value, which is just too long. Equals.
You might want to make that interp instead of inter.
That's a
just
better
to
name,
clean
yeah.
it up from, yeah.
All right, so we'll cast both these to float just to make sure we get a nice floating point number. Okay, so at this point, time should be less than interval, or equal to interval, in which case we'll get solid second color. So, producing an interpolated value. equals vec3 color 1. Let's see here. Maybe I should write an interpolation function. Just to simplify the handling of this, because this line's already going to be quite long. Alrighty, now I need to create the interpolation function. Alright, so basically if terp equals 0, then, and these are just notes so that I can make sense on the stream. Equals 1, and returning score 2. Make that 1. And for all use in between, he interpolate. So we need to actually change these to be right ones.
Yep, Stream was just pointing that out.
Yeah, thank you, Stream. Alright, that's better. Now, let's see if I can do this interpolation in my head. What I should do is val1, val2 times interp plus, that doesn't seem quite like it's going to work quite right. It's val1 times the inversion of interp. Somebody want to check that for me? Am I doing this right? Oh, yes, I am doing it right. SoundLogic just produced the exact same line. Thank you. That was convenient. Yeah, he points out I didn't need the cases, and he's right. I don't need to handle those cases. Those cases were just so people can understand what's going on. All right, that should interpolate between the two. It should handle the colors. He says I have a double tick issue. How do I have a double tick issue?
As written, it should have the same color twice for twice as long as every other color. Is that desired?
How does he mean that? Have the same color twice.
The same color of twice. It will have the endpoint colors for twice as long as every other color.
The endpoint color will become the beginning point color of the next interpolation. In interpolation 1, you have a solid color. Then in interpolation 0, you will have the same color. Well, yeah, I just changed it so it's equals, so it actually won't equal 1 at any point. But yeah, is that all we needed to fix? Yeah, I think I probably didn't pay enough attention when I did that particular loop. Okay, thank you. Good to have people over, like, checking to make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, so now we're actually producing a color based on the time. Fantastic. We're all good there. It's based on a gradient. And we need to pass the controller. So, sorry for the Steam ping I just got. Alright.
At least you had Steam on, so I could come in here.
Actually, I didn't see your message in Steam until after you were in here, I don't think. Actually, yeah, I did. I saw it pop up in the bottom right corner. That was how I saw that, wasn't it? Because you didn't actually message me in TeamSpeak. Okay, anyway. So let's see here. At this point, we have the problem of it assumes at least one color or gradient. So it assumes there will be a gradient or a color. If there's not a gradient, it goes, okay, well, I'll just use color. If there's not a color, then it needs to get more clever. Then color equals and for fog we'll make it white. So 1, 1, 1. That makes me think. These are floating point values. Which means our colors are wrong. Yeah. Which means we need to go change them up here. This should be 1. This should be 1. Those were going to be some funky colors. Alright.
Let's hope that's everywhere it was mentioned.
It was just here.
Okay. Well,
those are the places I specified the values.
Yeah, the values and the float and everything.
Yeah. Well, it would complain at somewhere at this point. You'd go, hey, that's not right. That doesn't make sense. It's a float there. Yeah. And then otherwise, there were no actual numbers. Sound Logic is asking a very critical question. How will you learn these color symbols? You won't under the current system, which is part of why it requires the rest of things to be written in. Modifiers are currently, under the current system, impossible to learn. You have to learn them by exploration, and since that's not in yet, this system can't possibly be released until it is. So releasing this, or all these things I'm working on right now, is dependent upon getting the new learning systems in, or at least one of the new learning systems in, and some writing rewrites to make it so the system actually can work well, especially since the notebook's getting pretty crowded. So I have to do all that.
Less crowded at the moment.
Well, at the moment, yeah, it's getting less crowded, but there are some pages which are quite full. With all the new symbols, will the books be multi-paged? Yes, the books will be multi-paged. I'll go ahead and say yes to that.
Should I show them that image?
No, because I haven't decided exactly how I'll do that.
No. The reference image. I'll PM you on, say, Steam. No, that would come up.
No, come up on message me on TeamSpeak.
Okay. Let me find it.
Sound Logic, that does mean that exploration will be coming up soon. That actually has been planned for quite a while. That's been the plan for this arc. I just kind of went, okay, now's a good time to do this! So I went off and started doing Celestial Mechanics, which got me off on doing...
Apparently I can't private message you. I should really talk to someone about at least getting permission to join channels with you.
Well, I could, if I
Okay.
get a permanent channel, then I can set it so you can join that. Hang on just a moment, stream. I want to see if I can show you this image. Oh yeah, this is good. I'll show this on the stream.
Oh, never mind. I can't link them to that anyway.
Yeah, but I can show it on the stream. This is a reference
okay.
image. We will be using this. This is actually part of the reference, or this was a reference for the current symbol system. But we'll be a little closer to this soon.
So each symbol will be made of 4 parts and each of those parts will be the current symbol system.
Right. Okay, so let's see here. Well, that should, oh my should, work. At this point, the gradient produces a color. Gradient's based on time, interpolates based on that. We'll do, intervals in a little bit. At the moment it's fixed to 2,000 ticks. Okay. What are you planning on to work on after you finish the modifiers? Changing the writing or changing the learning? Both at the same time, as much as I can. Pardon. The priority between the two is probably learning. Because the current writing system, while flawed, works. It will be a little crowded and a little difficult at the moment, but I could do some tweaks to handle that. Learning is becoming much more critical in terms of being able to pick up the modifiers. Currently, you can't do that with the way the learning works. So, yeah. Also,
And
I'll probably do... Say again?
I was going to say that's not the only reason it's critical. Also, admins having to clean up spam ages is another reason why it's quite critical.
Okay, so let's see here. Why are you complaining over here? Because fog isn't imported. Where's fog? There's fog. Now I've got a whole bunch of these, and I'm going to need to get creative in over here. So, age data, we're just handling fog at the moment. We'll go through and do all the others in a moment. Move you. Thank you. Okay, this is the remapping system. This is actually just a dummy thing. I changed the name of it. So I can make it remap to multiple systems. We'll need to make it so that, let's do them in order. Fog normal remaps to fog, preceded by mod white. And then change this just to say fog normal. And then fog red. Boy, that was simple. We'll do this for all the colors. Red, green, blue. Everybody understand what's going on here? I'm remapping the existing fog colors to use the new modifier system.
You have capital L in blue.
Blue! Because it wasn't blue enough. Black and white.
So what he's doing right now is making sure that all of your old saves will have an understanding of what symbols are inside them.
Right. The old saves will update to look basically the same way they did. Which reminds me I need to remove these symbols because they no longer exist. And there we go. That's better. Okay.
Sound logic, they likely will be.
Red, green,
We'll
blue, black, white. Normal to white. Okay, that's all the fogs. Here we go.
Sound logic has requested making the color modifiers colored as symbols.
Yes, they probably will be visually.
Bino, please go check the wiki for a understanding of what in the current version causes instability. A quick overview is all random ages are unstable. Any critical logic that's auto-selected will cause instability. Any conflicts of critical logic will cause instability. Dense ores and accelerated will add instability. And a couple of symbols that can be stacked heavily for greed, such as crystals or glowstone crystals, for example, will cause instability if they're stacked beyond a certain amount.
Okay. I'm not going to do chromatic at the very moment because that means I have to figure out what the gradient should actually be.
Yeah.
But as a basic setup for it, actually put it up here at the top so it's easier for me to find later. So let's see here. And then to make sure it doesn't actually map it, I'll do that. So that's about what I think the gradient should be, but I have to go check. So let's test it. Let's see how many demo effects I can get here. Did I correctly remove those symbols? Yes, they're gone. We now have colors added. Colors should be registered by mod their color name. Gradient is mod gradient. Make sure I spelled that the same way, even if it's not right. Yeah, looks like it. Okay, let's make this bigger so you can see how badly I messed up. And while we're at it, we'll also see the primary reason I started streaming. Okay, so this is actually the overworld. We'll go to my flat world. Oh, good! I had a breakpoint. Needed that. Hey, look! Fog's red. Fog was red before. That's good. Alright, this world's pretty standard in terms of the sky. The moon and the sun follow each other. They are on the same track. They move in the same way. And they have the same length of day as normal. The moon moves a little faster than the stars there. You can see that's already a little different. And I'm not sure which way the stars are moving. I didn't specify. Okay, they're actually going that way, looks like. Yeah, about there. So that's already kind of different. Let's go see how this world fared. This world, I have to look at my notes again to see what I wrote in, has a sun. I didn't specify anything about the sun. It's just got a sun. It's got a fast moon, which we just watched set. It's got a fixed moon. That moon will never move. And it's got normal stars, which can be moving in any direction. Okay. So for all the people that missed it, this is the new stuff. We've got celestial objects now. You can specify how many suns, or you can specify a number of suns, a number of moons, a number of star layers. You can specify the direction, the cycle period. Those